Hi everyone, welcome back to my Animal Crossing New Horizon island tour. We have finally completed decorating and my island is now a 5-star island. I definitely want to go ahead and give you all a tour of this one. Anyway, let's quickly jump into it. As usual, we do have Isabel's broadcast. I think I did kind of time travel a bit further here, and I also played the game offline for a few days. I have a couple new items that I have exchanged on the older ones, so I'm pretty excited to go ahead and show that to you all. Anyway, let me start this tour with my map. So here it is, as well as all my villages. Blue Bear is the newer villager which I just added in the last episode, and we did replace Midge for him. As far as the villages, I think I'll go on a lot of villager hunt after this, so please keep an eye on it if you're interested on that. But back to my airport, here we are, and if you're wondering about the flag, I haven't really made a flag specific for this island, which I do have a plan on, but we are going to ignore the flag and go with the tour. So this is the entrance of my island. The reason why I have this initial cliff and a bridge is because my resident services building is quite close and I definitely want to block it off. We also have this small area of beach here, which is due to a river that is going right close to the airport as well. But since we are here, I think we can actually go ahead and choose one of a path and go from there. At the entrance, I also wanted to have a villager house. In this case, this is actually Ace's house. He is a pretty cool villager, by the way, so I did have his house at the front here. I also have a dedicated pond right next to his house, and this is kind of gonna be a theme on my island. Each of these villagers' house will have a dedicated design. In this case, it seems like Ace is actually a bit busy. Let's see what recipe he's actually doing. Usually I do kind of skip talking to these villagers, but now that I have completed decorating, I might actually go back on it and try talking to them more and get more friendship points. Alright, there we go. A fruit top pancake. That's a pretty cool recipe. I've also been collecting a lot of these recipes for cooking item, and I think I might go ahead and take some time kind of crafting them all. They're after all pretty cool. Anyway, coming outside, here is the pond I was talking about. It also has a path that you can use to kind of go around and sit on a log stool right here. I was picturing more of a person kind of sitting and fishing from here, which I thought was pretty cool. I really wish we had that feature of sitting down and fishing in this game. Unfortunately, it is not there right now. Across his house, we have a pathway that goes to another cliff, which is also another one of my villager house. We also have a path down below, which will actually go to Nook's Cranny. But before we go there, let's quickly visit this house. Now right here, I have Blue Bear's house. Initially, it was Midge's house, but since she left the island, Blue Bear has occupied it. Blue Bear actually has a pretty cool area. He has a smaller swing, which is kind of a secret place. This is definitely one of my favorite designs, as I really like the way it looks, especially with the fruit trees behind it. Anyway, other than that, he also has a square bathtub. I'm not really sure what it's called, but it's an item that I really liked and I have used in multiple other houses. Anyway, let's visit him. I think he's still moving in. Yup, he is still moving in and hasn't yet set up his furnitures. But as far as I remember, he does have the same furniture that Cherry has, but just in the color blue instead of red. In case if you are planning on having them both on your island, I just have to warn you, they have almost the same kind of furniture, but just in a different color. Although I must say, if I have to select one, I think I would go with Cherry because red color looks super cool. But of course, it's your own choice. I think many people here like blue as well. Coming down this cliff, we have a pathway that goes to Nook's Cranny. Usually when I design an island, I really like to have Nook's Cranny right next to the island entrance. This is much easier if I am inviting any of my friends and they actually want to kind of access the shop. It's much easier. It also gives me a wider area in the back side of the shop to kind of have a river or a lake. I think I'll be showing that later. Let's quickly check out Nook's Cranny since I am here and since I am collecting a lot of furnitures. Ooh, alright, we have the grand piano today. I definitely have to buy that item. I'll come back here later. I think it's quite costlier and I don't think I have enough bells. Yep, that is a lot for a grand piano, but I think it's a worth it item. I mean, it looks massive and it looks super cool if you do have it in your house. Lately, since I did complete decorating my island, I've been focusing more on getting a lot of these furnitures. I definitely want to catalog on this island on all the items that I have available. This is something I've never done for my previous island, so I'm actually trying to complete it. Not only for furnitures but also for insects and museum stuff, as well as any DIY recipes that are available in this game. Anyway, that is all on Nook's Cranny right here. We also had Cherry, but I'm not going to talk to her right now. Next thing is to go up this log stairs. We have two new cliffs here. One of the cliff is where I have Flo's house, which I think you saw right here. She also has a secret garden behind her house with variety of pumpkins. Flo is one of my starter villager. She is still on the island. I think I talked a lot of times about kind of giving her the thought bubble to move out, but she hasn't really got that yet, so she is still here. I really like her, but I think it's time for her to move out of my island. Anyway, if you come up the next cliff, we have our Able sisters here. I personally like to have my shop as well as Able sisters right next to each other, so it makes it much easier for me on a daily basis to come and visit them. I think this is what I've seen in a lot of other islands as well. There are a couple of islands where the shops are farther, but I think it depends on your design itself. Coming down the vine, you have my beach. This is the right side of the island beach, and I have kind of done a minimalistic design for this vine. I know I've seen a lot of different islands with a really cool design. They've added a lot of different pathways and made specific areas. But in my case, I really like to kind of keep my beach minimal. I also really don't know how to design the beach that well either, so I kind of stick with what I know. Anyway, I think we got a new recipe today, which was a golden piggy bank, which is pretty cool. I have been collecting a lot of golden recipes these days, so I'm pretty happy with this one. Anyway, we can actually circle back from the beach itself. There is another entrance to this beach, which I think we'll go ahead and check out later. But here is my second river, which initially was connecting to the river on the other side right next to the airport. Anyway, if you do come through the second path, it actually goes behind of Nook's Cranny and does have a ledge that goes up. I also have this cute design behind here, which is one of my favorite. It's a smaller area design, but I think it looks super cute, especially if you want to have a photo. In this case, I'm pretty happy that we are having rain today. I've been discussing about this in the past episodes, and I really think having rain for this island looks super nice. And definitely I am happy that it is raining during my tour. Anyway, going up this log stairs, we have Ketchup's house, who is, by the way, one of my dreamies, and I really wanted to have her on my island. She has a couple different furnitures, a bathtub as well as a garden faucet, which is right here. I think behind her house we don't really have any specific design, just a couple of trees and a couple of shrubs. I also have a river that's flowing behind her house, but I think you'll be able to see that much clearer if we go to another cliff which is kind of facing it. Anyway, here we have Ketchup in her house, which is very rare. She usually sticks to walking around the island and usually is in front of resident services building, but we were lucky enough to see her in her house today. Alright, so that is all about Ketchup and her house. I think this was initially occupied by one of my wolf villagers who I did kind of switch out for ketchup. Moving on with the tour, we are gonna go ahead and go around this cliff which we have already seen. Once again, we have a branching path here. If you go to the right side, it actually goes to my museum, and if you come to the left side, it comes back to the resident services building. There are a couple other villages here. I do have a couple of cat villages which I'm pretty happy about. But if you do come to the left side exit, you will come back to the front of this island. This is the main bridge I used to kind of make the pathway look like we are going much farther into the island to get to resident services building. To be honest, I'm really not sure if I achieved it, but I do have this main cliff here which actually goes to my house. Usually when it comes to my house, I really like to have a long path that goes to the house itself, which is something I was able to achieve here as well. I also have the secret path right next to the house, but I also have a design behind the house as well. As far as the decoration goes, I don't think my house is the most elaborate one, but I do have a pond behind my house with a lot of flowers. I think it's a bit difficult to see from the front, but if you are running behind the island, I think you'll be able to see this design. Anyway, it is also not really accessible since I did have a item that was blocking it, which I didn't really realize. But that is all on the cliff of my house. I've definitely seen some interesting designs in the internet on one's own house, which I really was trying to kind of have as well, but unfortunately I have more elaborate designs for my village's house than my own house in this island. This actually reminds me, there is one of my favorite item right here. It's this tall lantern. I don't know what is it about this lantern, but it looks super cool and is one of my favorite items. It's also quite surprising to see both Mary here as well as Kiki there to be actually out. Most of the time when I am playing this game, they tend to kind of be in their house. There are also the two cat villages that I never had before, so I'm pretty happy having them on this island. We also have Flo. Let's quickly talk to her as well. Hopefully she does get the thought bubble pretty soon. Anyway, that is on the, I think, entrance of this island. The next thing we are going to explore is the huge cliff I have here in the other side of this bridge. This is kind of a main area for my museum. I also have a huge river right next to it, and I think you'll be able to see it right here. I've also been kind of trying to find more vines, so I'll be able to kind of keep them on top of the cliff right here to get a shortcut to the museum itself. But unfortunately I haven't really found it yet, so I guess we'll have to wait for that one. But here is the river I was talking about. The cliff that you're able to see in the bottom right side is the cliff for Ketchup's house, and also does have a waterfalls. But for now, if you are going through the main route, which is right here, it actually leads to another of my villagers' house. In this case, I think that is Whitney's house right there, which is the only wolf villager I have on my island right now. I don't know what is with me and this island. No matter how many times I lose a wolf villager, I tend to get another one. I think this happened ever since I did start this island itself, and this is probably the second or the third wolf villager I have on this island. Here is her house, and it's one of my favorite. I really like purple and violet colors, so this one is definitely super cool for me, especially the rose bed that she has right there. It's an item that I have been waiting for, and hopefully I'll get a DIY recipe for it and will be able to construct one for myself. But of course, other than the bed, I think the other items does actually suit very well. Anyway, that's all on her house. I think it's time for me to go ahead and show the museum, which is right next to her house. All you have to do is go ahead and go up the log stairs that is right here. There we go. I think museum has the massive design in this island. I gave it a lot of space and I have done quite different things, like this bamboo forest right here behind the museum. I also have a pathway that goes to a couple different statues that I have kept around the island, as well as a small shed where I'll be able to kind of replace my items, as well as a couple of chairs where I'll be able to kind of sit down and relax. I've also gone ahead and added a swing as well, which I think is super helpful. In my previous island, my museum was at the bottommost level of the island. But in this one, I decided to kind of do the opposite of it and keep the museum like 2 cliffs top, so that it is at the highest position. Usually when I like a design, I actually like to kind of have it on my island just the way I like it. But in this case, I wanted to kind of try out something new, and definitely this museum design is one of those. I also have this smaller area here where you'll be able to kind of sit down and get some really good pictures, especially with the statue that I've placed behind there. I also have a pathway from the museum itself to go ahead and go down. There is a path which actually goes to the ocean. And in most of the islands that I've seen, this pathway is usually at the front of the island. But for my island, it's actually at the back, which is actually pretty good, as it did give me this idea for a design to have a pathway going down from the museum itself. Anyway, please do ignore me getting all of these presents. The main reason for this is that I'm trying to get the golden slingshot recipe, and I think you have to kind of take down around 300 balloon presents to kind of get it. So I'm trying to get that number. But let's go down here and see what we have. So this is my design to go down to the beach. This is, I think, one of the worst design I have on this island, as I really didn't know what I was doing with this space. But at least I was able to fix it with this lighthouse right here. This is the customized brown color lighthouse, and I think it looks so much better than the other one. Usually you tend to get a lighthouse with the white and blue color stripes, or white and red color stripes, which is the two things I've seen before. But there are other designs that you can actually put on that lighthouse, like a white and black one, or different stripe colored one. Personally, I really think I like this brown one. Anyway, that is the design I have right next to the museum. Unfortunately, I have not completed the museum itself, so I won't be showing anything over there. I have been still collecting all of the items, and once I do complete it, I'm gonna go ahead and give a tour. But I think you already have a lot of guides in the internet where the museums are already complete. Right here we have a pathway that is behind Whitney's house. It actually goes to another one of my villager house. In this case, I think this is Kiki's house. We have already visited her, but she also has a secret pumpkin patch that is right behind her house, as well as a seat right in front of it to kind of take a really good picture. Now there are multiple ways to go from Kiki's house as well. I think you have a path that goes to the south and a path that goes to the left and right. The right side path is actually going down to the cliff in between the museum as well as Kiki's house. In this case, there's also a smaller secret path which actually goes behind this island. So I guess we can actually explore that one first. But just in between, let me know in the comment section what you thought about all the designs you have seen till now, because I'm really interested to see the kind of feedback I do get so that I can actually improve this island. But here is the secret place I was talking about. I think this one looks super cool, and it's a small area to kind of relax in the evening. I also have this massive path here that is going to go back to the resident services building, and is an easier route in case if I don't want to take the route up from the museum. Now if you do like the design that I've done on my island till now, I would also request you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, as it does help me a lot. Anyway, Let's go ahead and explore this topper cliff right here. This is a cliff that is right next to Kiki's house. And this one is one of the massive cliff as well, as it does have this big gazebo in between and multiple pathways to kind of go around. One of these pathways does end on this wheat field here, which is definitely necessary as most of the DIY recipes I've seen does need wheat. So I did actually go ahead and grow a lot of it. We also have other multiple paths that is gonna go around, but if you do go through this main log stairs right here, it actually goes to Mary's house. Her house has a unique design, as in she does have a field of her own which is down the cliff. Do ignore me catching all of these insects. I have actually ignored all of them till now, and I realized that if this season actually changes, all of these insects are gonna go away, and then I would have to kind of time travel again to catch them. But here is the field I was talking about. This is right behind Resident Services building, but also belongs to Mary's house to kind of decorate it. She does actually have two different paths to go around this cliff itself. Alright, I think we can take it down from here instead of going back to her house. From the Resident Services building, if you take the left side path, it actually comes down to this junction, which is where you'll be able to access my campsite as well as Kiki's and Mary's house. This is also another way. Now this thin cliff right here is actually a later design that I did add to my island. Initially, I had a design where this cliff wouldn't really exist. But unfortunately, I didn't have the items that I really needed to kind of do the original design. So I had to kind of improvise and create this thin cliff right here. But I still think it looks cool with this bench as well as the statue right here. If you go down, it actually goes down to my secret cove, which is right here. In this case, I've actually done a simple design for the secret cove. I have seen some really good designs in the internet, but once again I didn't really have the items that I really needed, so I had to kind of improvise by using the items I had. Anyway, climbing up to this next cliff, we have Pashmina's house here. She is a bit busy. I guess she is talking about giving a present to Cherry, which I'll be able to take care of. I think this is the first time she's also giving me this kind of errand thing. So I'll go ahead and accept it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to kind of show her house as it's really pretty. Anyway, the design for her house is actually having a pond behind her house. Same as mine, but she also has an extra design. So here is the pond and a couple of trees. It's definitely a bit difficult to see it from here as we are at the edge of the island cliff. But the main design for her house comes right here. This is the main cliff. It also has a newer item, which is this volcano. This is a newer item I was able to recently find, and I'm pretty excited to kind of have it on my island. It also gives a volcanic eruption, which I think is super cool. You'll also be able to customize it. I think you'll be able to customize it into a brown one, but the green color mountain looks way better. You also have a hammock at the end to kind of sleep and rest, as well as a couple of trees in the front. Anyway, that is on the design for Pashmina's house. If you go ahead and go to the left side from her house, you'll actually be able to finally see my campsite. For this island, I have once again gone opposite to my campsite design of my previous island, where I had it around on two cliffs top, but this one I went with the lower one. It also has an intricate design of having a couple of furnitures right next to it, as well as a waterfall that is at the entrance. I've also gone ahead and kept a pipe that accesses right to my house, which makes it much easier if I just want to check out which campsite villager I do have. There we go, that is the campsite design. I've also tried to kind of plant a couple of trees around it to make it look like it's in between a forest. Really not sure if I was able to achieve it. I guess I could have done a bit better, but that is on that design. We also have this smaller bench on the leftmost end. This is just for me to kind of sit down and take some photos right here. Anyway, I also have my beach over there on the left side. Once again, for the beach I have done minimal design and just used a couple of items that were kind of told in the game to be used for the beach, like the beach chair and this other one. I've also placed another lighthouse on this end of the island as well. Once again, it does have the same customizable option that I did do for the other one. I've also kept some other items here. Most of these items I actually was not planning to keep, like this pirate barrel here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the item I needed, so in the future if I do find it, I'm gonna replace it. One of these items being a skeleton, which I actually found in my previous island, but for some reason I'm not finding that recipe here. Anyway, here is the main path that actually leads to the beach itself, and if you climb up this vine, it goes back to the campsite. So we do have another bridge right before campsite, and the main purpose of this bridge once again is for photos, as I really thought it looked super cute. Anyway, we do have this main path. If you go down instead of climbing that vine, I think I usually use this block stairs right here to access the campsite, unless I am right next to my house. In that case, I'll be able to use the pipe. I would definitely recommend you go ahead and use pipes, as it's a super easy way to access your house or campsite or some kind of shop. Anyway, we have almost completed, touring my island. We only have one more huge cliff, and this is a cliff that I actually decorated at the end. So if you have been seeing some of my recent videos, I think you would have already seen this design. But here we are. The first design is this silo right here, which is actually one of my favorite items that is kind of available in Nook's Top. I think this is one of those items which you'll be actually able to create using the DIY recipe, and definitely very helpful. The next design or the next feature that I really liked on this island is actually my heart-shaped pond. Initially, when I was going through the different island designs, I was looking for two things. One is a heart-shaped pond or a star-shaped pond, and the other one the color of the airport. In this case, I did get this heart-shaped pond, and I went ahead and preserved it as it is. I think this is one of those designs that I'm never gonna go ahead and change unless I do have to kind of flatten my island on a later stage. Behind the pond itself, I have a small space here where I'm trying to kind of generate all the rocks. As you can see, only 3 of them has generated. This might be due to not having enough space, so I might have to come back here and make some changes. But other than that, I'm hoping to kind of generate around 5 rocks over here as well. I've seen many people who have done this design on their island, and I really liked it. Unfortunately, when I tried it, it really didn't work out that well. But at least it does look good when I am trying to take a photo. There we go, I'm going to take one right here. Anyway, other than that, we have 2 more villager houses left. One of them is going to be right next to the pond. I've actually gone ahead and created another river. In this case, it actually goes behind the house and joins the river that is going across the campsite. But here is a bridge which I think I actually created last minute again, but this design is way better. This is Cherry's house, and surprisingly she's actually in her house, so you'll be able to see the kind of furniture she has, and it's kind of gonna be the duplicate for Blue Bear. So here it is. Everything in her house is red in color just like her, but it definitely does kind of work out. In this case, I also had to give her a present from Pashmina. That's what I'm gonna do here. But as far as villager houses goes, this is definitely one of those unique ones. I'm not sure if this is something I would try out for my house, because red is pretty tacky, and having so much of red kind of hurts your eye after some time. but I think still it looks super cool for her house. Unfortunately, I do not have the Happy Home Paradise DLC, so I won't be able to make some changes on her house even if I wanted to. But let me know in the comment section if you do have it. I have been planning on buying it. I've heard that it is quite helpful to have the DLC for this game. I know that you'll be able to change villager houses in that as well, which is something that I think is pretty valuable, especially if you do get customizing the island itself. I think you should be able to customize the villager houses. Anyway, now that we have checked out her house, we're going to check out the design behind her house, which is one of my favorite. She also has the square bathtub as well as the small river in front of her house. But there is a pathway behind her house to kind of go back to the beach. And it does have a wind turbine, which is my favorite item. I think I've only used 2 wind turbines on this island. One of them being right next to Abel's sister's house and the other one is right here. Going back, we have one more house left, which is Bones' house. I really like Bones, and I must say, if I have to select any of the dog villages, with so many of them being so cute, I still think Bones is the best. He does have one of my favorite house designs ever. I mean, his house is literally a library. It's a place that I really like, and it's a place he really likes. So I think we are best friends. Anyway, the only way to access his house is up this lock stairs. Since I really like Bones, I gave him a bigger design on this island. By the way, also, this reminds me, I actually was able to find the greenhouse item which I was talking about a lot. And I've actually placed it right there. And if you do go to this side of the pathway, you'll be able to see the giant flower. This one I think is just a smaller area, kind of like a park for people to walk around. But if you go around the pathway on the other side, you'll be able to reach Bones' house. So here it is. He also has got a secret area which I'll go ahead and show. But this is the front entrance of his house. Unfortunately, he is not inside his house, which is pretty sad. I really wanted to show you all his house design as I think it's super unique. But here we go. This is the unique design or his secret hideout, where he'll be able to kind of sit down and chill out for some area. Anyway, I think that's all. I do have a second house in the beach, which I could definitely go ahead and show. Unfortunately, I do not have enough furniture to kind of get that house ready, so it is still not upgraded fully. I'll still be able to kind of show that to you guys here. Easier way to kind of access that side of the island is to go through this path right here. I guess if this is your first time coming to my island, you would probably not know that there is a path here, since there are just a couple of fruit trees. But if you do actually decide to go past them, you'll be able to find a waterfalls as well as a path that does lead to the beach. This is actually the other side of the river, and here is my second house. This is actually not the final place for this house. I actually want to keep it right next to where we have the boat. Unfortunately, I have not yet done any changes for this house. As you can see, it just has a couple of items. Once I do get this house fully upgraded, I'll then go ahead and move it to the edge of the beach, where there's a much bigger place and much easier place to kind of design. Anyway, this is the left side of my beach. Once again, I just have a minimalistic design, but the house will be going right here. As you can see, it's a massive area and is a really good place for me to keep my house. But of course, that is all I had for this tour of my 5-star island. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comment section which part of the design that you really liked. Or of course, if there's anything that I could change to kind of improve the design. I'm definitely pretty excited to go ahead and get some feedback on this one. So thank you all for watching this episode. If you liked it, please go ahead and leave me a like. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to support me more on Patreon, check out the links in my description. And I'll see you guys in the next one.